What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Comics Grind. I'm one of your hosts, Nico Rodriguez.
And I'm Ken, aka Comic Ken on YouTube.
And thanks so much joining us once again. As you can see, we are new and improved. We're making some course corrections, trying to get this channel up to speed, looking good, and having good audio too is key, right, Ken?
Yep. I just got my microphone, got my headphones, and ready to go.
Yeah. So I'm happy. We got our mics up, ready to go. We have got a really cool, timely discussion for you guys today. Something that's kind of been in the comics headlines this past week. So it's going to be a joy to give you guys that discussion. But just kicking off right now. What you got going on this week, Ken? Comics wise, anything? Any good work going on?
Yeah, comics wise, I'm just working on coloring right now. I'm doing um I'm doing a book, like a 36-page book, and I'm on like page 9 or 10. And then I'm also trying to do strips on the side of like little comic strips of Air Rider as I go. But man, this job I'm doing right now has got me rethinking the whole like comics industry. It's like, why did I ever even want to get involved in this? You know?
Yeah.
But you'll have those days sometimes where you're just working and you're just like, where's this even going? But
Right.
it
Yeah.
goes on in and out like week after week. Some weeks you're like happy to be working, and some weeks you're just like, no, this ain't it.
Yeah, man. Especially like doing your coloring gig. Like coloring is just to me, it's such a massive endeavor because it really takes a lot of focus, and
Yeah.
it's especially depending on like the line work that you're working on top of. Which I,
Hmm.
I've seen some of the pages you showed me, and it's pretty clean line work. So you got to be pretty precise with those colors,
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it's fun to work with like cleaner art styles, but then when you're dealing with like super detailed artwork, you have to be on top of everything, and you can't really like half-ass it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, that's good, man. You're working, progressing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, getting ever like just a little bit closer to full-time comics. Even though it's like not exactly what I want to be doing, it's like I'm paying my dues before I can do what I really want in the industry.
Right. Hey, yeah, no, that's exactly it right there. Um, Me, comics wise, this week I've kind of let's see, working on the graphic novel still, going strong
Yep.
on that thing. Getting ready for Comic Palooza here in Houston, which is the bigger convention over here.
Nice.
3 days. So when this comes out, this will be next week. So the following weekend that this episode comes out, I will be at Comic Palooza in Houston. Um, Other than that, a couple of my friends and local creators around town, we're creating a quarterly zine called Houston Comic Scene Zine.
Right?
So we're trying to assemble that in time for Comic Palooza. Basically, what we're trying to do is really just kind of spotlight the local Houston creators, and kind of give them a small platform, maybe 1-2 pages, a strip, or short stories and stuff, and just kind of it's a thing that we're putting together ourselves. We're printing it ourselves, and we're hoping to distribute it at the conventions, and also
Nice.
put it in some of like the local comic convention or comic shops, bookstores, art stores, stuff like that. So
Awesome.
it's been cool, man. Been getting some strips ready for that. Um, yeah, sorry if I don't know if my dog is barking in the background, but let's hope that doesn't leak through into the audio.
I can
Um,
barely hear it.
okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reading wise, you reading anything good this week?
Dang, what am I reading? I finished The Destroyer. We talked about that last week. I don't think I'm reading anything new. I've just been watching a lot of stuff, like still watching the anime that I've been watching this season, just like trying to keep up with most of them. On Demon Slayer, Vinland Saga, and this one called Oshi no Ko. And that one to me is like it's really super interesting. As like just 6 episodes in, and it's already like it's got its hooks in me. I'm like, wow, this is actually like showing what it's like inside the entertainment industry, especially in Japan, and just man, it's one of those shows that everyone should watch. It's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm excited for in terms of watching, and then I always try to consume some type of story content um every week, and then that just keeps my mind like working in terms of what's possible to do in a story, like what are people gravitating towards. And as for reading, I'm reading the that book by Hayao Miyazaki, the Starting Point, that I was telling you about, and I'm just like collecting like knowledge here and there from that.
Yeah, man. After you told me about that, I bought it. Had to
Oh,
get
you
it.
got
Had
it,
to
you
check
got
it
it
out.
now.
Sure did. Sure
Oh,
did. Yep.
nice.
So I've read about the first 20, 25 pages, and
Hmm.
it's good stuff, man. Yeah, it's just a lot of it's kind of like it seems like a lot of it's him just like rambling, and
It
like
seems like it, yeah.
it's because it's a little disjointed at times, but there's some really good stuff. There was next time there was a quote in there that I really liked, and I'm sure I will. This is something we can maybe even do a further dissection on because there's some good
Yeah.
knowledge in there. But he had this one quote about like adapting literature to film,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Ooh, this is good. This is good." But I can't remember the quote off the top of my head, and I don't want
Oh,
to butcher it. So we'll talk about it more at on another episode. But yeah, it's
cool.
awesome, inspirational, good book to kind of have by like the bedside, and just kind of read
Right.
a chapter before you go to sleep.
Yeah, it's really good. The main thing I took away from at least the first uh 30 pages that I read was that when he defined animation, it wasn't something technical. Like he didn't define it in technical terms. He just said animation is, and this is not the exact quote, but he said animation is to the effect of like animation is whatever I imagine it to be, or it's
Yeah,
ever whatever I want to create. And I never really thought about it like that because it's so subjective. But then he's like this master. He's created all these masterworks and whatnot. But he has his whole philosophy behind it, and that's really what the whole book is built off of. Is just his imagination and how he interprets action.
yeah, for sure. And he already gets into some of like schooling, like the importance of schooling, but not being too reliant on it, or not to be too technical, caught up into the technical things, because
Right.
as you progress, the technical stuff kind of starts to come in. Worry about the storytelling at the front, which was awesome because that's kind of goes in line with kind of how I think sometimes as well.
Right.
It's good stuff, man. Yeah. Um, so that's one of the books that I'm reading. You're talking about like watching animation and stuff, but I've been
Yeah.
like hooked on. I've got the entire collection of the entire Animaniac series, and
Oh, really?
yeah, so I've got it's like 5 seasons or something. So I've been rewatching those. It's been so long since I've watched them, but they're so good, man. They're it's just some great cartoon content
Yeah.
that you know it's there's parts of it that are for younger kids, but then there's like jokes and there's a lot of stuff in there that like you catch nowadays, and it's like, oh, that's totally like more for like a mature audience, and like
Right.
some of like the gags and the cartooning, like love that stuff. It's awesome, so
Yeah,
good.
they were really clever about putting that stuff in back in those days.
Yeah, back in the olden days.
Yep.
Ken, you're such a kid.
Oh my
uh
god.
Anyway, cool. I think we can go ahead and go off into the main topic for the day.
Are you sure it's not
Ken,
too
what's
hot for TV?
oh, I don't know, man. This is a spicy, touchy subject here.
It might
Um,
be.
Ken, what's our main discussion point for the day?
Well, we're talking about this cover that Frank Miller did for Wolverine.
Yeah.
And it's not the old one from back in the day. It's a more current one. from this year.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is something that's really kind of taken Twitter by storm this week, or yeah, basically Twitter. And it's kind of just been, shared around, commented on, discussed about, the positives, the negatives of it. It's kind of been a little bit of a, choose your side type of thing, which sucks because it's freaking Frank Miller. Come on.
Right.
But I guess just like, I know I've spoken about it a bit a few episodes ago, but just like my connection with Frank Miller, my first real connection with him was through Sin City. And
Right.
whenever I first read that book, just how kind of monumental that was for me in terms of, thinking about comics outside of superheroes and outside of the typical traditional, comic art. So, Ken, what was your first Frank Miller experience? Were you Sin City guy,
Damn.
Dark Knight?
I think it was definitely Dark Knight because I had always heard the best comic works of the 80s was Dark Knight and Watchmen. So I was just like, all right, well, let's see what these two supposedly best comic books are about. And then I read them and I was just like, wow. And in fact, I actually prefer the Dark Knight to Watchmen. But they're both way up there in quality. It's just that I felt like the Dark Knight was more attainable in quality if I was to do it on my own versus Watchmen, where you need a team effort, you need more people involved in order to get it right. But
Right.
yeah, that was my first Frank Miller experience.
Yeah, yeah. It's a couple weekends ago. One of my buddies and fellow comic creators over here in Houston, he has the, entire artist edition of Dark Knight
Oh, nice.
Returns, and it's like the 11 by 17 size,
Yep,
original scanned in art, and
with all the
it's
whiteout and all
all the
that
whiteout, all the scuffs and scrapes and bruises and blood,
coffee
sweat, and
stains.
tears all over that thing. And oh man, it was amazing. I was in heaven looking at that thing, man, just pouring over the details, and it was awesome.
Nice.
But but yeah, but that brings us to now. Fast forward, what is that? Close to 50 years now, 40, 50 years, 40 years.
Dang, yeah.
Um, and now we're here, and the discussion around, um, Frank Miller and his latest Wolverine cover is, this dude can't draw. Everyone is, for lack of a better term, shitting on him.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty much.
yeah. And honestly, from my perspective, I love this cover. I
Oh,
love it
really?
because I do. Um, and I kind of it whenever I first saw it and saw all the discussion around it,
Hmm.
it kind of brought me back to, there's this Bill Sienkiewicz, podcast that I listened to maybe 2 years ago or something. On
Uh-huh.
there, he was talking about his career, comics art, and everything, and kind of what he did to kind of, um, put his stamp into the medium. And obviously, we all know Bill Sienkiewicz, his surreal, wonderful, painterly, style of art.
Oh, yeah.
And it at some point it wasn't like that. He was trying to be, more of a house style, um, type of artist until he kind of broke out of that and created his own vision.
Right.
But in this podcast, he says, simple statement, but he says, um, I'm more interested in how things feel rather than how they look. And that's his entire mentality around art. And whenever he said that
Right.
in that podcast, it connected me with me so, um, enormously, because
Hmm.
I had never really knew how to say what I felt in words until he said that. And I was like, that is the perfect thing, because my endless search and my experience with comics is, you know, we all start at like that house style, and that's kind of what we're used to. But then as I
Right.
got older, I kind of discovered things that made me feel rather than just, oh, that looks pretty, you know?
Right.
Um, and I thought that that kind of correlated so precisely with this Frank Miller cover, and kind of the whole ordeal around it.
Mhm.
Yeah. What do you think? Ken? You think how is your feelings on this cover, and maybe some of that uproar that's kind of been going around Twitter lately?
The way I see it, Frank Miller is allowed to do anything he wants. And he can draw anything he wants, and nobody should have any problems with it. I mean, people can have problems with it. People are gonna always have like some kind of like issue or whatever. But it's like he's earned the right. He's earned more than his right to draw however he wants. I'm not personally into the cover. I wouldn't like see it and be like, "Oh, I got to pick this up." And if a Cubert school student turned in that cover for their assignment or whatever, they would get some critiques. They would be told to like, hey, change this up, make this improve this arm or whatever.
Hmm.
But they're not Frank Miller. Like they don't have his track record. They don't have his creative work. They don't have his mind, his ability. So it's like it's not the greatest cover in the world, but it's it's something only Frank Miller can do. It's something that only like it's something that only he's allowed to put publish pretty much
Right.
because he's earned it with his track record. And then um I feel like if it had a better colorist, it would come out a lot better too. Like put me
Yeah.
on it. I would color it. I'll color the shit out of it and make it like really
Hey.
pop and come out.
Yeah, no, I was about to mention that because that was another thing, just looking at the cover here right now. um, a handful of colorists started recoloring it,
Oh
and
really?
yeah, I saw a handful, and it did make it look better. This was kind of just a kind of a standard kind of flat cover, uh, colored job, but um, regardless, man.
Wonder if-
Looking at the line work, obviously it's certainly it's different from, um it's not entirely different from like Sin City and things that he's done, it's just there's another kind of, whenever I was looking at Twitter and everything, and
Uh-huh.
I know I'm kind of quoting, getting a lot of quotes and everything, but I saw another guy. I will. His name is Paul Gist on Twitter, but he said something that was pretty what I related with, a lot. But
Yeah.
he basically said, saying Frank Miller can't draw is like saying that Bob Dylan can't sing. If you're, I'm paraphrasing here, but if you're strictly speaking technically and like his technical accuracy, yeah,
Mhm.
you might have a point. But he says that you're missing the point entirely if that's all you're looking at. And he basically goes on to say that the drawing of Wolverine looks like a ball of muscle that is about to tear you apart in the drawing, and I thought that was great. I'm not a huge Bob Dylan guy, but he's not freaking, he doesn't have the pipes of an angel. He's
Yeah.
a guy that puts a lot of emotion into his art, and
Right.
that's, to me, that's exactly what Frank Miller does, and Frank Miller has been doing,
Right.
since you know back whenever he was drawing, penciling Daredevil and everything. Yeah, he was a little more of a house style, but he's since kept evolving and kept evolving, kept evolving.
Right.
Um,
I would
and
I would
yeah.
compare it to Picasso actually, where Picasso he mastered like realism early on, and then he was just like, all right, well, this is boring now. Let me start playing up with different styles and make it look different over the course of his lifetime to where by the end it didn't look anything like human, but it was so imbued with his years of practice and study and whatnot that he could just draw whatever he wanted, and people were just like, "Wow, this is a Picasso piece. Let me buy it. Let me have it." You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and like pulling up the cover again, like when I look at like some of those marks, some of those kind of like thicker marks,
Uh huh.
it almost seems to me like he's using I showed it last week. I think I did. But it almost looks like he's using this pilot pen a little bit, but I don't know. Because
It
like
could be.
some of like those darker blacks on his face,
Uh huh.
like it looks like a stroke of like a pen like this. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading into a little bit much. But like the way like on his shoulders, how you see that thinner line and
Yeah.
then it breaks, it has a sudden jarring break into like a thicker black line. Like
Uh huh.
if you're looking at the screen, it's the right shoulder. Um, but yeah, it's got like that abrupt, thicker black there, which makes me think he's
Over here.
using. Yeah, exactly, right there.
Right.
Which makes me think he's using one of these parallel pens, which is
Right.
different because he didn't use that before. So he's experimenting with tools here too, man. This is just it's Frank Miller being Frank Miller, and if you're gonna sit here and call and say, oh, what the hell is Frank Miller doing? I mean, he's doing Frank Miller. That's what he's
Right.
doing.
Like,
Which,
the,
yeah,
I was about to say, the thing is, like, you can tell that if you didn't know this was Frank Miller, like if this was just some random artist, you'd be able to tell that they know enough about anatomy and enough about the technical aspects of drawing to get certain aspects right. Like how he's adding these dark marks to the shoulder. He knows there's supposed to be like a deeper shadow there.
mhm,
Um and so he's adding those marks, but he's doing it in a stylistic way. He's doing it in his own way. So he knows the technical aspects of what needs to go there. If you asked him to, he would draw Wolverine like perfectly, or he would draw it in his own style. But he can make it more technical if he wanted to. It's just that in this case, he was just like, "Fuck it, I'll just draw whatever I want. I'm Frank Miller." You know, like
yeah.
he can just do that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, let's be honest, like, we all don't know how this cover gig came about, but it could have been just like Frank Miller just doing like a random sketch of Wolverine, experimenting with some stuff, and then like I don't know, his art rep or something rep sends it to like a Marvel guy, and they're like, yeah, we'll use it. It could have been as something as simple
Right.
as that.
Yeah, that's the thing
Um,
about the behind the scenes of the comic industry. You never really know how certain things come about. Like all we can see is the surface of the cover. Like we're literally just looking at the cover, but we don't know all the circumstances that went into bringing it out here, you know?
right. Yeah, because he did. I guess this is the first, or this is one of the 3 or 4 covers. Because I know he did a Moon Knight, he did a Blade,
Uh-huh.
and he may have done something else, but I can't remember. So
Oh
they
yeah, I
could have
think I saw
been,
those. Yeah.
yeah, they could have been just like, "Hey Frank, can you do 3 Marvel covers for us?" And he's, "Yeah, sure," and just
Right.
does what he wants. Yeah, man. I mean, Frank Miller is Frank Miller, and I think this cover rules. Honestly,
Right.
it has a lot of emotion in the cover. Even with
Mm.
I don't did are the blood the blood slashes in the back. I don't know if did he ink that or was that added in the cover in the color. I don't
See,
remember.
that's one of those things you don't really know until it might have been added by the colorist. And then Frank
You
just
think
did
so?
a quick like Wolverine drawing, and
Yeah,
then the colorist added all the slashes in the back. But then it
yeah.
matches with what's on Wolverine's claws.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and it matches with that signature down there too. So I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
I think I saw the black and white version, but I don't remember. But yeah, man, and I really think it does kind of. go hand in hand with that sentiment that I said earlier about that Bill Sienkiewicz thing, about how it feels. Like how does like this drawing, how does it feel as opposed to how it looked? Like this to me, this looks like a crazy as fuck dude that's about to whoop you, you know?
Right, right.
Um and I think it's doing exactly what Frank wants it to do.
Yeah, causing a stir.
Yeah, causing a stir. But I mean, even like today, I think it was he posted a Marv from Sin City drawing that black and white. It was kind of like a cartoon about the current writer strikes that are going on.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it looks awesome. It looks great. It looks like a Sin City drawing. It's Marv. He's got the big nose. He's got the big hands.
Nice.
Um, so it's yeah, man. It's Frank Miller through and through. Frankly, I
Right.
want to see more. I want to see more of it. I want to see more of this type of stuff.
Yeah, because he can draw like correctly when he wants to, but it's just like nobody wants to draw technically all the time. It takes a while to do all that.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And I mean, dude, Frank Miller's been doing this for so long. He's had so many ups and downs. I mean, he's physically the guy seems like he's got some physical issues. I mean, we see him. I don't, I can't speak to exactly what's going on with him, but um, this guy might be in some discomfort too. We don't know.
Yeah.
Drawing
Right.
drawing these things, but yeah, as far as far as the cover, man, whenever that thing drops, I'm buying it. You know.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah. Any other words on it, Ken? Any last words on Frank Miller? Or are you have you kept up, or have you been interested at all in the new Frank Miller Presents publishing company?
No, I haven't really followed any of that, but I always keep. Let me pull this book out. I always keep a copy of his Daredevil on me,
Nice.
and I'll just look through that because I want, like, I always have a great example of like solid storytelling on hand, and
Yeah.
I look at that for inspiration. His Daredevil is a large inspiration for how I'm writing Air Rider, and just so many ideas that I have is just great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. As far as like the Frank Miller Presents company, I haven't, because I know that they have like the sequel to Ronin, I think it is.
Oh, I
Um,
heard about that. Yeah.
and then I haven't kept up too much with it, but the one whenever Sin City 1886 or whatever drops,
Uh-huh.
I'd certainly picking that up. Like I'm super excited to read and like look at the art for and I don't think he's drawing it, right? And I'm pretty sure he's not drawing it. But
Yeah, I don't think so.
like an old West Sin City, I mean, come on, man. I'm there, you know.
I really want to get that Ronin 2, that Ronin 2
Yeah.
book, because the art in that one is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it looks good. I think I saw like they had the what was it, like the preview edition or like the ash cans out not too long ago.
Yeah.
Um and it was
I
it
think
was
it's
it looked good.
I think it's Philip Tan drawing that, right?
I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, because I was listening
Yeah.
to because I think Dan Didio is like the head publisher or something for it.
Uh-huh.
Um and he was speaking about it. But yeah, it's good stuff, man.
Yep.
But other than that, Ken, I think we're good. Unless you have anything else to say on the Frank Miller fiasco.
Ain't no fiasco. There ain't nothing going on. Like,
Yeah,
it's all good.
yeah. I think it's just interesting how it was interesting how many negative comments I saw.
Right.
And here's the thing: I wonder how much of this, Frank is even how much does he even know that people are ragging on him? Like, or is he just like like, oh, I did a cover, here it is, or does he read these, or does his art rep or somebody see him, or does he
I'm,
even care? I know he doesn't care, but it's interesting to see, like, know if he even knows about, like, the kind of uproar that happened this week.
I mean, I'm sure he's wiping all his tears with all the money he's making. Just
All those Dark Knight royalties he
yep.
he takes in.
He's just like, oh man, they were so mean to me online.
Yeah.
He's just wiping his face with cash.
That's a wonderful, wonderful vision. Someday I will meet the man. Someday, hopefully,
Yeah,
because he's pretty sparing on his appearances. I don't think he does too many other than like New York Comic Con, or I don't think he does, like, maybe he does San Diego. I don't know, but
right.
but yeah, he's one of those greats that I've got to meet at some point.
Yeah.
But cool, man. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. We want to hear what you have to say about Frank Miller's cover. Are you drawn to it? Do you understand his whole sentiment around drawing, and kind of what he's going for? Let us know in the comments below what you think about this thing. I love it. Ken likes it. Maybe not love it, but
I'm indifferent.
Indifferent. There we go.
Yeah.
Indifferent. But let us know what you think. We would love to read your thoughts, and uh, discuss them too in the comments. It'd be awesome. But Ken, where can the good people out there find you?
They can find me on Twitter at the Ken, and then on Instagram at Ken, just COMIKEN. And then oh, you got the banner going. Nice.
Got the banner.
Yep. And then um my comic Air Rider High School Hero is on Global Comics. And yeah, I post every day on Twitter and y'all can find me there. And all the links will be in the description below.
Awesome, awesome. And you can find me at Nico_writes on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me and subscribe for free to my Substack, where I post a bunch of cool comics and creativity content. That is at nicorodriguez.substack.com. Like I said, it's free if you subscribe, and the articles get distributed straight to your email. So it's pretty awesome. Also, if you are in the Houston area, this episode will be coming out about 2 or 3 days before Comic Palooza. So if you're in the Houston area and you're at Comic Palooza, come and check me out. We will talk about comics, we'll talk about Frank Miller, and art and all that cool stuff. But again, thanks so much for joining us this week, and we will see you next time.